Welcome to another edition of Sun Dragon Tips and Tricks. Today we're gonna talk cables. Cables, like the little piece I'm wearing here, are where it looks, I used to say it looks like voodoo magic. It looks like the stitches just miraculously twist around each other and they dance, and there's so many fun things you can do with it. I avoided cables for so many years of my knitting because I thought it was voodoo magic. Turns out it's really not that hard. It involves a third needle, but don't panic. You're only dealing with 2 needles at a time. You're always letting go of 1 needle and only dealing with 2 at a time. So if you can knit and purl, you can cable. Absolutely. And I'm here to vouch for that. We are at my house. We'll see if the cat interrupts at all today, because I have to hide if I try to do this at my shop. I have to dive behind the yarn bins. So we'll see what we can do. I'm hoping to get a few more videos up this week that have to do with some crochet things and some other knit things. So let me know in the comments what you want to see on this channel, and we will tackle it. Okay, to start talking about cables, I have a few different varieties here. Cables, again, are just where stitches seem to switch over other stitches. They magically look like they're twisting around. This is the one we will probably try today. It is what I would call a left-leaning cross. And it simply looks like you have stitches that are vining around each other. Now, some of what makes cables look really awesome is it's a section of knit stitches right here in the center, and there are purl stitches on either side to really make it pop. And then we'll talk in a second about how we make those cross. Magic! It's not really magic. So that, look, they all go in the same direction. They are all twisting to the left. Twisting to the left. All of them. That's a basic starter. That is fantastic. For other things, this is the hat that I'm going to be teaching this weekend. And right here, we can see a right-leaning cross. It looks like it's going the opposite direction of the hat I just showed you. These hearts that are on the outside, they are all made by stitches that are either going to the left or going to the right. And again, we have purl stitches to make things really look like they're popping. All the patterns and things I'm showing you right now, I will try to have links in the comments underneath for where you can find these patterns, all right? So next, this guy, who is absolutely fantastic. This guy is just using left and right leaning. Let me put him the direction that you would actually be looking at him. It's all about different crosses. So we've got 3 here that are right leaning. And then we have 2 that are left leaning. And then this cross in the middle, this is a right leaning. So it's all about which direction it leans and twists. And usually a good pattern will have all of that in the instructions. But we'll go over too in this video how to do that. Underneath all of this, you see this? This is the back of my very favorite cabled coat. This is my fall coat. I love it to death. It is a Rowan pattern. My cat also loves it, so you might be seeing some cat hair on this. This is more of a basket weave looking thing, but if you look really closely at it, here's a whole row where they are all right leaning, and the row above that, they are all left leaning. That is all done with cables. It may not look like fancy twists or like this Celtic number, but these are all cables as well. It is really pretty, and it's not super hard. What do you say? Are you ready to try some cables? Stick with me. Let's talk about different tools that you can use when you're cabling. So for cabling, you essentially are going to be sliding a few stitches off your needle so you can move where their position is. And cable needles are designed to just hold your stitches for a short period of time. So you can even use a double point needle if you want to, because the most basic of these, although it comes in a super nice set, are my Coco Knits straight bamboo cable needles. They come in a variety of sizes, but they are essentially just a short double point needle. Coco Knits, they come with a little bit of metal in the center, mostly because Coco Knits makes awesome accessories that are magnets so they can keep track of these. When you do a lot of cabling, you can pick them up and put them down very often, and it's nice to know where they are. So the Coco Knits pack comes with a whole bunch of different sizes. The general rule of thumb when you're cabling is you need a cable needle that is smaller than your work. If it is bigger than, well, smaller than the needle you're using to knit. If it's bigger, it'll stretch your stitches out. If it's smaller, it's perfect. It does not need to be the same size. It just needs to be smaller because the needle, your right needle, is the one that is determining the size of your stitches. Your cable needle will just hold it. My favorite, if we're going with straights, are the Brittany cable needles. They have 3 options for sizes, and they are like the double point, but they are a little thicker on both ends. And that can help your stitches from falling off. Now the next style is one that just has a kink in it. Sometimes they will actually have a V. They won't just have this little kink. Clover makes a set that has 3 different sizes in it. Honestly, I can do most of my cabling on the smallest size, even if I have really huge yarn. It holds your stitches right there when you're cabling. These are from Bryson. It's a set of 3, and it's just a fancy version of that same, has a bend in it. Yay, should keep your stitches from falling off. My personal favorite are actually the J-hook needles. There's a couple of different reasons I like these. One is when you're sliding stitches on and off these, they can still be in the way as you're still working with your other 2 needles. These, there's 2 different things. It helps you keep track of what you're doing. You always slide stitches off your needle, off your regular knitting needle on the small end, and then when you have to transfer them and knit them off of this needle, it's always off the big end. So there's less likelihood of them getting twisted. At this point, we probably haven't done the actual cable stitch yet, so all of this may sound like Greek. But trust me. The other thing is, with a cable stitch, you are hanging this in front or you're hanging it in back. You're placing it to the front or the back of the work. And with this needle, it absolutely disappears while you have to be dealing with other things. So I really like the J-hook. If you don't like plastic, Clover makes them in multiple sizes. You can get them in metal from various companies. And I don't think I've seen these in wood. I would imagine it's kind of hard to manufacture in wood, but I really advocate for these. In fact, that or the pink one may be the one we're using today. Then Prim just made these really cool guys. I'm actually going to move these up and out of the way. This is a cable needle that you can make any shape you want. If you want to make it a J-hook, it might not look as pretty as the other J-hooks. If you want to make a J-hook, you've got a J-hook. If you want to give it a bend in the center so that your stitches will stay on, you can do that. If you want to use it as a double point, you can do that. And the Prims, these hook tips are some of my favorite new things to work with, because the hook tip means as you're working with stretch stitches, which happens with cables, they're less likely to fall off. However, for this intro lesson, I'm going to stick with the J-hook. But since I'm going to show you on super big yarn, I'm probably going to use the pink one. Alright, I'm going to try to diagram, map out a few of these things without you having to watch me draw the whole entire thing out. And I'm trying a whiteboard just because it lets me erase things and color things and do things in different ways. It means you might see some of my lighting and other things. So let me know in the comments if you like this or don't like it. So here is some of the language you might see for a cable. C6F. And this is just trying to give us some information. So the C, as you might imagine, is telling us we're about to do a cable. The 6 is telling us how many stitches are in the total cable. So this is the total stitches involved. And to know what we're putting on the cable needle itself to make this work, we are going to divide it by 2. So that means that we have, who's the math geniuses among us today, we have 3 stitches that are going to go on the cable needle itself. And then this, they might use F or B, they might use right or R or L for right or left. F is which direction you are going to hold the cable needle. This one means front. Okay, so a cable with 6 stitches, and the 3 that you're putting on your cable needle are going to go in front. So let's take a look over here at the stitches that are coming up for your 6-stitch left cross cable. So we have 6 stitches. We are going to divide them in half. 3 and 3. Let's color code them for you. The first 3 I'm going to make red. The second 3 I am going to make blue. So the first 3 you are going to slide onto your cable needle, or slip is the language that's often used. Slip to the cable needle. That's step 1. Slip it to the cable needle, and you're going to hold it in front. So if you take a look at my lower picture here, which I'm going to zoom in on now, this is my picture where I have slipped my 3 red stitches onto the cable needle. I'll talk more about this when we do it with actual yarn. Slip, I like the J hook because it gives you slip on to the cable on your on the cable needle on your short end, and you're going to knit it off your long end. But you've slipped them on and you've held it in front. It is in front of the work. I'm only drawing the top row here. The blue stitches are now at the tip of your left needle. And step 2 is you're going to knit them. Knit these 3 with your regular right needle. Step 3 is you're going to knit the 3 stitches off of your cable needle with your right needle. If I could spell. Knit the 3 stitches that are on your cable needle. All your stitches should be back on your needle now. They'll be on your right needle. And if we take a look over at this guy, you will have made the stitches cross over each other. And the 3 blue ones will now be in order where the 3 red ones were before we started, and vice versa. So you will have pulled it over to the front, and they have switched places, and it looks really cool. Now, if you had held your needle to the back, the same thing would have happened, except the ones coming from the blue stitches would be in front. Right now, the ones coming from the red stitches are in front. And that is all about if you, let me move this back down here. This is all about if you held your cable to the front or to the back. It makes the cable lean in different directions. All right, time to show you the cable in action. So my little swatch here, I have purl stitches on either side to really make this cable pop when we're done. And I have 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've purled my 2 to be right up at the cable, and this is a C6F. So again, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take half of that 6. I'm just going to let my needle hang. It might need to get braced somewhere. I'm going to let my right needle hang. I'm going to pick up my cable needle, get my stitches ready at the end there. Remember, I'm going to slide them off on my short end. 1, and I'm sliding these what they call purlwise, which means that you are sticking them straight in, almost like doing a purl stitch, so they don't twist. That's 2, and that's 3. And it said front, so I'm going to put those securely in the middle, and I'm going to hang that in the front. See how it's totally out of my way as I keep going, but it's keeping those guys there pretty securely. So next I'm going to knit these 3, the next 3 on my regular needle, pull that first stitch kind of snug, don't overdo it. I knit these 3, then I let my left needle take a break. I'm going to swing this guy up again, and I'm going to slide it towards the long end of the needle there. There we go. And I'm going to get all my stitches. This is the tightest part, but I'm going to muscle it through. I'm going to knit 1, 2, and that one will be pretty tight as well. Try not to stretch it too much, but it should take care of itself. This needle is free now. I get to put it down, pick up my regular left one, and I'm gonna purl my 2 on the other side so we can take a look at what just happened. There's that twist. It'll feel really tight right after you do it, but we're going to do 5 more rows of knitting these 6, purling these 2, and it'll let it ease out and float up, and then it's time to twist them again. All right, here is my cable. I've knit 5 more stitches straight. I've not changed anything, done anything crazy. We can see how that cable just lays a little better. We can really see what's going on now. And it's time to do another cable. So if I go in here, I'm going to purl the 2 that give me my edge and help with the magic. Set my yarn to the back. I get to ignore my right needle for a second. I'm going to slide 1, 2, 3, and again I'm going to hold it in front. Now if I held it in back, can you kind of see what would happen? It would twist the other direction. That can be a really cool thing to make it look like it is twisting on top of other stitches. But I want the one that looks like it just corkscrews, so I'm going to hold it in front again. Step 2 is I'm going to knit 3 stitches off my left needle. Then I get to forget my left needle for a second. I'm going to flip it straight up, my cable needle. When I slid it off on the short end. I'm going to knit it off the long end, so I'm going to slide down, let it cross over, get everything up on my tips so it's easier to do. and knit these 3. My cable needle is free, so I can put it down. And I'm going to finish by purling the 2 that are left on my left needle. And then I have 2 twists. Thanks again for going with us on this adventure of cables. I hope you picked up a few tips and tricks today. I love doing cables. I want to put them in everything I make, and I hope you will too once you have taken on the challenge. They're really easy, they are fun to do, and I wish you much joy in your crafting and lots of confidence. Please let me know if you'd like to see anything new in the comments below. Let me know if you have questions. We could even do another one on cables if you have some questions on cabling. Please subscribe and share this channel with people, and let's just grow this adventure. It's a lot of fun. We'll talk to you later. Bye. That is your favorite sweater, isn't it? Your favorite coat to sleep on. So, of course, since I put it down here, you want to sleep on it. Okay.